lottery karma rankings. I used to do this as a column once upon a time. I did not send you my list. I was just going to go through it and have it react. I'll read you the teams with the odds and their top 4 odds. And basically come down to who I think should win from a karma standpoint for the lottery. All right, so what does that entail? What does that mean, karma for a lottery?
What does it mean? Yeah.
Did you behave the right way as an organization and a basketball team? Did you bastardize your season?
Ethical tanking, what you're saying.
Have you won in the past? Have you already been given a bunch of lottery carrots over the years?
This is your Cleveland point.
This is the Cleveland point. When Cleveland won the lottery 3 times in 4 years. It was fucking ludicrous.
By the way, just a quick aside, when you would lose your mind to a non-receptive audience on TV, I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Because you weren't really even talking to anybody. I don't even know if you were talking. You were just so mad. Like, this shouldn't
that
happen.
One killed me.
And, yeah.
And everybody's just staring at me. Are you just doing the right thing as an organization? Are you on a good run? Right? Do you deserve it basically because you're just doing the right things? You're making good decisions. You're picking good players. Maybe
if
you
you're
made
the
a
news,
good trade.
Don't lie.
Right. So anyway, my number 1 team for the lottery karma rankings. Drum roll, please. The Houston Rockets. They have 3.8% odds to win the number 1 pick and 17.3 to win the top, get in the top 4. They got the pick from that Brooklyn trade they have. So this is basically Phoenix's pick. And I still, to this day, didn't really love the James Harden trade that much that they made for Brooklyn, but it turned out fine. But they've made a lot of good draft picks and they've set themselves up in a really nice way. I even like the Şengün Green contracts they did. I'm interested to see what they do this summer. And I think of everyone in the lottery, they've earned the right to say, like, you know what? We've just done it the right way here the last couple of years. So that'd be my first pick. Your reaction?
Wow. Hard to argue when we go based on your criteria.
Okay. Number 2. By the way, what if Houston gets the top 4? They become a content machine for the Ringer and for our pods. Content machine.
I thought we were going to do 30 minutes of Giannis to the Thunder today.
Don't think I didn't have it written down for alternate.
I had to prep
if Denver wins. No, it's like shit. Like this is now happening.
Is Wiggins for Reeves? Like, how does that work? Go ahead.
Can I give you some Giannis intel?
Please do.
Everyone in Milwaukee thinks he's coming back. Now, granted, the weeks pass and you never know, but I don't think they're expecting a trade request.
Can I ask you a follow-up?
Yeah.
Say the Thunder were to lose. And Presti calls. It's like, okay, I'm gonna crank up our ceiling. Would it behoove the Bucks? Which I've said from the beginning. If Giannis goes, hey, I'm fine, then you just keep him. And if it means you win 50 games,
just
you
proactively trade him without even asking him.
Yeah, go. I don't want to do this again.
Stunning
26.
Trade?
Yeah.
Who do I get him from OKC? Holmgren has to be in it, right? He has to be in it. I'm not hanging up unless he's in it.
Well, you need good players because of the draft stuff that you laid out.
But Holmgren has to be in the trade.
Well, I imagine you have to get somebody good. Yeah. So would you rather have Chet than Jalen Williams?
Oh, I'd rather have Chet.
I would rather have Chet too. I'm very excited about Chet. I'd like him to be a little more confident in that 3 if he misses a couple early ones. But, we could get there at the end of this round. So who knows?
What is he, 20? Is he 22, 23? I'm a big Chet fan. I think the only thing that worries me is he's had 2 injuries already. And now, granted, it's like, well, but injured big guys make me nervous. My next
body
one,
fat of 6%.
My number 2 team in the lottery karma rankings, the Washington Wizards. 14% odds for number 1, 52.1 to be in the top 4. And first of all, I liked their draft last year. They've changed their organization around. I don't think they've been like crazy dysfunctional. I even kind of like the Jordan Poole trade looking back. Like, fine.
Especially if you're tanking.
This is more selfish. We need more good players in the East. And you and I need more good players in the 4 p.m. PT games. I just feel like we're late.
I can't watch the Pistons all 82.
Yeah, what are we going to do? We get the Pistons, some Celtic games. Like we just
I think I've watched enough Atlanta.
Need to beef up. Yeah, we need to beef up that crew. And I just feel like I like the way they've handled the last couple years for the most part. So that was a strong number 2. Your reaction?
Like
they
that
have
group,
one in the past a couple times.
At least there feels like there's a plan and direction. And look, Winger is a stud. Everybody's talked about the stuff he did at OKC, what he's done with the Clippers. So he is he's a guy that I know privately that I would, well, I guess I'm saying it publicly, like if the Wizards end up with it, good for him. Good for Winger, good for this fan base. Because, that fan base, that was a fun team that you never took that seriously, but it's kind of a sneaky, awesome fan base. And they have had nothing. They have had, like, think about the Caps. Think about the Commanders.
Yeah.
Like, those are some of the best fan bases in their respective sport. And this basketball team, like going back to Jeff Malone and, when they had Ruland,
Frankie
Cliff
Johnson.
Robinson, that terrible 1986 trade with the Sixers. But it was a team that you're always like, oh, they may bring it tonight. And I don't know. They always felt like a little bit more on the radar. And this is a very, very long time, flirtation with the Westbrook Beal run that year when Beal probably showed us enough of like, oh, is that guy going to be a dude that checks out on the team? I think it's because I think of the fan base too. I think of the fan base a little bit and what they deserve. And I think that fan base is long overdue for some good news.
Yeah, they won well. The last really fun team that seemed like they had a chance to maybe make the finals was that 2017 team that lost to the one and only Kelly Olynyk. They had a fun arenas run there for about a split second in the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
And they had a fun split second with C-Webb and Juwan and Rod Strickland and whatever that was, even though they got swept in round 1. People remember it fondly now.
But think about this. Like, think about what you're reaching for here for...
Listen, I've known House since 1988, and he's never had anyone remotely approaching Cooper Flagg. The best players he's had since I've known him, which is 2/3 of my life now, were Bernard King in the 1990, C-Webb, the not washed up, but getting there, Mitch Richmond, and then Arenas, and then Bradley Beal and Wall. So anyway, I have them second. Number 3, Portland.
By the way, real quick, I'm putting you on the spot. What do you think their highest win total was in the 80s?
Oh, definitely not in the 50s. Probably like 45 and 37.
That's why you're the best.
Is that what it was?
43-39 in 1982.
Yeah, they've been horrible.
Remember the head coach?
They won the 78 title? And that was almost 50 years ago. All right, so third one. They won the title so long ago that the team that they beat has not been in their city for 20 years. That's how long it's been. Number 3,
they won 48
Portland.
games that year, too. That's weird. 44.
Number 1 odds for Portland, 3.8. Top 4, 16.9. The reasons here, the Dame trade was the right trade. I think they get rewarded for that. The Avdia trade was probably the sneaky move of the summer last year. We're still in it with our guys, Scoot. I like their weird collection of assets. The Billups coaching hire turned out to be pretty good. I think they extended him. And it's arrow pointing up in a lot of ways. This would be a good spot for Cooper Flagg.
I like it, except for I just feel like, does that diminish Scoot's star?
Or does it lift him?
All your arguments for both. Yeah.
It gets tough after the top 3, Russillo, for the lottery karma rankings.
So you think it's a clear tier 1 of those 3 teams
Houston,
that have done it, that deserve it, done it the right way?
Houston, Washington, Portland. Fourth one, Utah. Number 1 odds, 14%. They have the best. They're in the 1 spot, so even if a couple teams jump them, they'll still be there. 6 teams have never had the first pick in the draft. Can you name them? Utah's one of them, so there's a hint.
Utah, Toronto. No, they had it with Bargnani.
Yep.
El Magico.
It's a really hard question.
It is a tough question. Has Dallas ever had it?
Yep.
They have.
Mark Aguirre. I'll give you the 6. The Denver Nuggets, the Indiana Pacers, the Memphis Grizzlies, who famously came one spot away from LeBron James, 2003.
Yeah,
one of the
Jerry
great
West.
Lottery reactions of all time. Miami Heat have never had the number 1 pick, and the Oklahoma City Thunder have somehow never had the number 1 pick. So Utah, they took care of Will Hardy, which I appreciated. They gave him a contract till 2031. Like, sorry, dude. Sorry we had to make you do that the last 2 years. Their owner has been great. I think he's probably the best kind of new wave owner the league's brought in the last 10 years. But they did really tank pretty aggressively. But I think it would be fun to have Flagg go to this team. So I'm going to overlook some stuff with them. I have them 4th. Your reaction?
I believe they should be in tier 1. I mean, we sit here, we want to play the tanking game and say that the Wizards did it the right way and then Utah did it the wrong way. And I'm sure plenty of basketball people would agree with you. But look, Mitchell was going to want out. They cleaned up on the Rudy thing. They hit reset on a team that, we just pointed out earlier in the pod. Remember when they won all those games? It was a 59-win profile team, and then immediately they're like, "Hey, boys, this is the playoffs. It's not gonna translate like it does for other teams. Sometimes you regular season to playoff." I think the most important part of this, you've got me on whatever tier of ethical tanking you have these teams ranked through, but as far as what Utah needs, what they need is a guy that may want to actually stay in Utah for 10 years.
Yeah.
I think the only way they're ever going to get somebody who's a franchise-changing player is to get a Cooper Flagg in the draft. They're not going to be a destination for free agency, even though I've heard Ryan Smith, the owner, laid it out, hey, we're not small market. Look how great.
Yeah.
All these things. I think if you're a simple guy, you'd actually like to play in Salt Lake. I think Salt Lake's oddly confusing to a lot of different people. It's kind of more convenient than Denver.
Salt Lake's awesome.
Right.
I'm buying Salt Lake stock.
I am with you. I'm buying Salt Lake stock.
Team.
They don't have 16th
cool
Street like Denver. Yeah. So that's a positive.
They got rid of Sundance. I think that helps the cap.
That's out?
Yeah, Sundance going to Boulder.
Never made it.
Yeah.
Never made it. Maybe
all right, I'm happy to consider them being in.
They should be tier 1 because
the Will Hardy thing made me mad because I think he's a really good coach, and you just removed 2 years of imagine if you when you came to work for us in 2018. If I was like, yo, first 2 years, I'm gonna need you to really just fuck up the first 15 minutes of your podcast because we need the downloads to be down, and then you can try some stuff. But I don't really want it to be good yet. But 2021, I really want the pod to be good. So just kind of.
So you'd say, hey, we want to suppress your value.
No, don't try.
This is a terrible analogy. It's not going to work.
I'm just trying. But imagine being in the position of don't do your best.
Hey, we're not.
There's going to be ways to win this game. Don't use them.
We're going to have you do everything still over the phone. This whole Zoom thing that you're seeing on these other shows.
Let's move to video. Just 2 more years, audio only.
I
just think that sucks to be this is how I have to coach. It's my organization doesn't want me to win, but we both agree that's what you have to do when you're Utah. You have to play it that way. It's just a confounding thing about the league.
If you're trading for somebody, that's probably a small target of who gets traded for. That's a franchise-changing player. That's I'm here and I want to stay. You're probably not going to be able to use your cap space on anybody. So you need somebody to come through, which I think this is a great organization, whether it's ownership, Ainge, Zanuck, Hardy. I am probably a little too, I do wonder if Hardy in a private moment with a beer with a couple friends says, well, it looks like I'm not catching Popovich anytime soon, right? Because all of those numbers are when you pull up his basketball reference, it's that's what my winning percentage is, and that's what my record says it is. You could also argue, too, it's we're going to give you this shot at a very young age to be this coach, and maybe if there's a different path, you're stuck in as a second or third assistant somewhere else, and you don't even get this opportunity until 7 or 8 years later.
Be the Spurs coach.
My argument for Utah and why I want them to win the lottery is this: Cooper Flagg in Salt Lake would be the most important piece for a franchise that needs it, considering all the challenges that they have faced historically in transactions?
I'll move them up to tier 1. You sold me. I think Washington would have a same kind of impact, though. I think he's a game changer for them. They've never had a player come in who is like I'm going to make everyone better on this team guy in the last 40 years, right? Which is what we think he is.
Do you think you'd have a Jordan Poole quote? Be like, this guy's going to be all right off the bench, like Twan about Pierce. Remember that?
Jordan Poole's like, I can't wait to teach him everything I know. All right. Next one is Brooklyn. Their number one odds are 9.9%, top four, 37%. You know, they sabotaged year one of the Jordy era. They might have been like a 38-30. They might have been a play-in team. And they were just like, no way. So I got to ding them for that. But, you know, they've been all over the map. Sean Marks, I guess, can just never get fired. But the KG trade turned out to be just a grand slam. So you almost like get rewarded for that, right? All the stuff they got in that trade that's still going and going and going. I wouldn't be upset if they won. There's a whole case of, can Brooklyn even survive unless they had a guy like this in New York City? Like when you think about what happened with the Knicks this year, I just think Brooklyn's going to be the ugly stepchild of New York basketball forever unless they get a guy like this. So that's the case for it. And Feeney's Pizza outside Barclays. I'm going to throw that in there too for karma. Great pizza.
I think for all the same reasons that I don't know, Utah still has more challenges than Brooklyn would. But
right, because we've seen Brooklyn lure guys already.
Right. There's nothing on this Brooklyn roster that even gets you excited to the point of like even Lowry marketing.
Yeah. Charlotte's next. 14% number one odds. Played the game like everybody else did. New ownership. I like Charles Lee. I wonder if you get Flagg, how many guys are still on this team 2 years from now? If you get Flagg. Would you over under 2.5? Would you go over or under 2 years from now?
You'd say 2.5 is the
over
number.
Under 2.5. Who's on the 2028-29 season roster?
Well, it's already 2 with LaMelo and Miller. So
LaMelo?
No.
We sure?
Kinda.
Are we?
Well,
Miller, who I don't know.
Miller, I don't know.
I
looks like he's going to be really good.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I don't trust. I
Mark
wouldn't
Williams
say
has already been traded. Miles Bridges is a different conversation. Grant Williams Leadership Council.
Your guy, Saloon. I don't know.
Diabate, Salon,
whatever his name is. I don't know. If
forgot.
It was
That's how bad this year went. Yeah,
not a strong rookie year.
Yeah, it's Salon.
Some tough basketball reference.
I told you I liked watching him. I didn't know if it was going to be any good or not.
I didn't sell the stock yet, but I do have a red flag next to it. Chicago, number one odds, 1.8%. But I like some of the trades that they recently made. We're in a weird territory here because we've got Toronto, number one odds, 7.5%. You and I have hated them.
Wait. Make the case for Chicago. Isn't there something to be said of like,
no, it's pathetic that they don't spend money, right? I think they've spent the tax once in 15 years, but I just like some of the guys in the team. So I was thinking from a karma standpoint, I enjoy Kobe White. I like Giddey. Vooch I've enjoyed. Putting Flagg on that team I think would be fun. That's really the only
Zealous
posters. Possibly. Toronto, 7.5%. You and I have not liked their moves. The only reason they're this high is because there's 4 other teams that have to be lower than them. And I can't come up with a case for Toronto.
I have nothing to add.
Okay. Now we're in the bottom 4. New Orleans. Their number one odds are 12.5%. They've drafted really well, which we've talked about many, many times. They've made some really bad trades. They seem like they're jinxed as a franchise and as a basketball city. This would be the one city I'd be actually worried for Cooper Flagg if he went there, because it just seems like nothing good happens there. But the fun piece is from a karma basketball, if they did get Flagg, it opens up content left and right for us. There's so many possible trades. They might be good right away. It could be like he could swing them by 20 wins potentially, just because they already had a lot of talent in place. So that part's fun. But man, it just feels like they've had a lot of luck already with, like, they won the Zion lottery. You know, like, it's hard to say, oh man, they're due. Like, they literally won one of the 3 hardest lotteries that we've had for what people wanted in the last 15 years. So that's the case for New Orleans for and against.
Yeah, I probably would like them to get it a little bit more. I don't know if it hits a reset on the franchise. My guess is most owners wouldn't win the lottery and then be like, okay, cool. Now let's be bad around just winning the lottery. And maybe, I don't know what to believe on whether or not everybody's all on the same page about keeping Zion. I just don't know how many more years you can keep going into a season like hoping this thing is going to work out. And even if you traded him and ended up being a star somewhere else, because I think there's a history there where it's like, well, look what Baron Davis did when he left. Look what happened with Chris Paul when he left. Look what happened with Anthony Davis when he left. If that's bleeding into your decision making, then I don't think you are making the right decision with this. But we all realize how special Zion can be when it's out. I don't even care if I traded him and he was awesome somewhere else. I could not go back into another season having every one of our hopes tied to somebody where it feels like it just ends bad all the time. And if you win the lottery with Cooper and Trey Murphy, I would start, again, nobody likes when the media is just sitting there telling everyone to blow it up all over again, but they might be the perfect candidate for it because they have drafted well. There's other players, like we didn't even mention Herb Jones anymore because he's been hurt. I would just try to figure out what I could do.
Murray's out for most of the year.
Yeah. And, CJ's a nice player. There's probably still some value there. It doesn't mean you're going to have like 7 guys aspiring this offseason.
Yeah. This next year's is, he's an expiring heading into next season.
Got it.
I looked up the Zion contract stuff to familiarize myself with it. And I thought there was like partial guarantees. They could let him go before July 15th and just get completely out of it, which I
wouldn't do that.
I had forgotten that was an option.
No, because Shams brought it up. Remember when he wasn't playing, being, by the way, they could just go ahead. To me, that's insane. There's always another team that's thinking if we get him with us, the ceiling version of Zion with us, that guy is not for free. I know what you're saying, but I've heard the argument before. There's no way you would just go, let's just.
I'm not saying I would do it. I'm just saying it's in play. It's a thing that they can do.
Okay, you're saying it's in play, but it's
you know what else is in play?
What's that?
They could trade for somebody who takes the Zion contract and immediately intends to waive the contract because this will be their way to get out of a shitload of money.
I just don't think that he is at that point where you would want nothing or acquire him to get off of money to then waive him.
You know why you're right? Because you could do this all again next year. Yeah, you could even if you're trading for him, you could take a flyer on him knowing that, all right, if this goes badly again, next year I could just get out of it and waive him again. But everyone is so desperate to shed money. I just think it's notable that somebody makes $39 million a year who could match with anyone in a trade. You could then waive and get out of all the money, all the apron shit that comes with it. I don't think that's nothing. It's my worst fear for the Celtics.
What, that they would trade for Zion and then waive him?
Like the new owner's like, now that I have the team, guess what? We're cutting costs. We've traded for Zion and we're waiving him.
Sounds like somebody was having some down 0-2 thoughts.
I think this is my 4th margarita. When the Knicks started to come back, I was like, oh my God. All right, bottom 3. San Antonio, 3rd from last. Number 1 odds, 6.8. They won with Wemby. That's really the only reason.
You can't win with the Admiral, Duncan, Wembanyama, and then you get Cooper Flagg.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Because I know everybody was listening like, hey, the Spurs, they do it the right way. That's the nice team.
They've had too much luck.
No, we're good.
You get Duncan, Wembanyama, stop.
No one's going to agree with us. We're right.
We're right. Which leads us to the second to last karma team, the Philadelphia 76ers. Their number 1 odds are 10.5%, top 4, 42%. If it falls 7 or lower, they're in the 5 spot now. If 2 teams jump them, OKC gets their pick. I just don't think you should be able to stumble into Cooper Flagg after the summer they had last year. It's ridiculous. It's outright ridiculous. I'd be happy for Maxey. I'd be happy for McCain. But the Embiid extension combined with the Paul George 4 years and trotting out the big three media dialogue and the title stuff and all of it, if it leads to Cooper Flagg, that's outrageous. No offense to our Philly fan friends. It would be outrageous. It really would be.
I almost want it to happen. People are going to be so pissed off.
Like,
people are going to be so mad because it was.
This is how it played out. Really?
Right. It wasn't just that this was on the table. It's when everything was falling apart, and then you were looking at their record, and then the Sixers are going to those games being like, "You think you're fucking tanking? Yeah. We're fucking tanking." Like
let me introduce you to Bona.
Yeah. Oh, hey Nets, you want to play hard in the fourth quarter? Yeah. We're running ISOs for Edwards. Like, fuck you guys.
They were ready to like Tanya Harding, Quentin Grimes. They were just going to hire some fat guy to hit him on the side of the leg on the bench.
Well, Toronto kept winning these games because their defense was somehow incredible this late into the season, and or they had that stretch. I would say that you're like, how the hell does Toronto keep winning some of these games? But Philly, and I think Philly, like in a way, I like what they did, where they're like, we're not screwing around.
Yeah.
Even though Quentin Grimes, for that stretch, it's like, are they going to cost them this top 6 protection on this thing? So we were chasing the top 6 protection. We're following all of that stuff. Like, are they going to actually lose this pick? Like, the worst case scenario of what could happen here, considering how bad the season is, like on top of everything else. And guess who else has the pick? Oh, great. It's OKC. What a shocker. To then getting Cooper Flagg. I think that'd be a lot for people to handle. I think people would rather the Spurs with it than the 76ers.
Embiid, think of the headline. Embiid, excited to take Cooper Flagg under his wing. A new long ESPN feature. Last but not least, now it's weird because they should be last in the lottery karma rankings, but you could also make a case they should be first.
Because of the fans.
The Dallas Mavericks, number one odds, 1.8%, top 4, 8.5%. To do that Luka trade and then end up with Cooper Flagg would be a moral outrage. Not even an outrage. I'd be morally outraged. My morals would be discombobulated by it. I just can't believe that's how it would work out. It would make me so mad. Like, really? You motherfuckers just got Cooper Flagg after making the dumbest trade anyone else has ever seen? And it worked out and you got Cooper Flagg out of it? But on the other hand, for the Mavericks fans, who are as traumatized and upset about a trade as any fan base I've ever seen since I've started to like sports, I'd be happy for them. But I think they have to be last.
I feel like the fan part should prevent them from being last. Like, why are the Sixers?
You go last.
Why are the
Philly.
Sixers? What about San Antonio? Because at least they'd be rewarded for.
They've done some good stuff, San Antonio. The Fox trade was good. Castle pick was good. They tanked while also seeming like they cared about the season, which I think is a hard line to straddle.
Yeah, but see, I'm that's almost why I appreciate Daryl and the Sixers for going, you guys want to act like there's these rules of engagement shit. You guys want to have one of those operations where it's like, we're sort of invading this area, but we're kind of not because we gave it a title. Like, you ever want to go through and just laugh your ass off? Look at some of the military operations titles, just the branding of them to try to make everybody feel a little bit like nothing's even called a war anymore. And when I think about what the Sixers did, they're like, you can call this whatever you want. Label it whatever you want. Yeah. There are no rules. Like, we're doing this.
And it was the right thing to do. Nobody remember in a year.
Yeah. And, look, whether it's that Dallas argument years ago where it felt like it was terrible, or the Doug Peterson Philadelphia Eagles thing where it made sense for the Eagles to lose that game, but because it's the national broadcast and we're seeing it happen in real time and everybody's got their phones out and there's no other games on to distract us from it, then it becomes this like act against humanity. And I don't like I know what you're saying, where the Spurs did it in the decent way, right? Utah wasn't perhaps as decent. Yeah. Again, we keep using that word that everybody loves about ethical tanking or ethical hoops. I don't know. That feels nasty to have Dallas last, but I know you're thinking about Nico, and maybe there was some after Luka and the Lakers lost in 5 games. The people in the media that suggested somehow we needed to revisit the Nico Harrison conversation. Like this is like watching a 4x100 relay and seeing the first handoff and going, well, that's over. This is not when you're evaluating this. And by the way, again, it has nothing to do with what the Lakers or Luka didn't do in the playoffs this year. It has everything to do with the execution of this historically bad trade. So even if it turns out in 5 years, like Luka's heard and like, hey, was Nico right? The process will forever be wrong. And when that team gets eliminated,
when Reeves gets traded this summer, and he will get traded, and the stuff that they get back for him is going to make it seem even worse that they didn't get him in the trade.
I know it's a TV show, and this is somebody who's done this for a long time. You know what's happening in those pre-show meetings. Be like, hey, do we need to revisit the Nico conversation? It's like, I don't know. What's the rest of the rundown look like? Like, we're kind of light. There's no football stuff. It's like, all right, maybe we'll throw it in the D's.
Yeah, I can do 2 more minutes on Nico. Yeah, just set me up. And
and then sometimes that itself is the segment. Ask the question, and then you just shoot down the entire idea. But anyone that really is paying attention, again, and I shouldn't even phrase it that way, sane people would go, this is not a conversation that we can have right now because of an elimination in 1 year of the playoffs. So go ahead.
We have to go.
Yes.
So I always grab a Dream Team cup when I do the pod.
I love that you do that.
I didn't notice that I grabbed John Stockton. I just grabbed one. Does it mean anything that I grabbed John Stockton for the lottery?
Well, Cooper.
I had 12 choices of Dream Team cups. I guess Malone or Stockton. So it was a 1 in 6 chance I was grabbing a Utah thing, which is basically the exact same odds that they have in the lottery. So I grab a John Stockton, don't think about it. We'll see tomorrow night if it's a coincidence. All right.